Good morning, absolutely lovely to see you. This is Angela of Gluten Free Angela Web TV. So this is your TV show, web TV show that's dedicated to all things gluten free. So I'm Angela. I had to give up gluten about 6 years ago. I found the whole experience really, really difficult. And I didn't know what to eat, what I couldn't eat. And at the time, there wasn't very much choice. And even now, there's a lot on the market, but not all of it tastes nice. So I've got an array of things here that I'm going to be taste testing today. It is all sweet today, rather than savoury. Last week, over the last 2 weeks, I've had some brilliant days. I've eaten gluten-free pork pies from Marks and Spencer's, gluten-free sausage rolls from Marks and Spencer's, which were amazing. They taste just like Greggs ones, and when you have to be gluten-free and you can't eat a Greggs sausage roll ever again, even though they don't have the best meat in them or anything, they are the most sold sausage roll in the UK. Everybody seems to love them, and actually I used to love them as well. So I've tested those. We've tested cheese and onion rolls. I've made my own equivalent, and I've done something similar today. So in Marks and Spencer's, they do 2 fruit scones or scones, wherever you are from. They're gluten-free. They've got a little bit of fruit in it, and they're £2 for 2. And what I've done today is, here is the gluten-free Marks' scone, and I'll tell you the trick to making them taste nicer. And here are my own. And for my own cost me about £2.50, and I've made 9. And those are 2 for 2. However, we have to bake them ourselves. We have to go out and buy all the ingredients. So it's down to you, but I will be taste testing the 2 of them today as well. So I want to say a huge, huge, huge good morning to you, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on replay, whether you're watching on YouTube. And I want to say a huge thank you again to Brigitte. You're always posting all of the shows that we do, aren't you? So lovely to see you. And so today, you may realise that I'm not in my kitchen, and I'm not in my parents' kitchen. Well, long story short, I know we had internet problems last week. As of last night, we have no internet whatsoever in our household. So I'm using my mobile phone this is my dressing room. So it's our little smallest spare room. So this is where I am. All of my clothes, well, most of my clothes are in those wardrobes behind me. So this is my nice room, and so you've got a nice little display. So our internet totally went last night about 11 o'clock. Can't get it working again. So I'm up here. So that's where I am. So I hope you are. Oh, Brigitte says I need to sit down after the gardening. Well, I hope you know you've got a nice cuppa of something to sit down and relax. While I sit here and eat all these sweet things. So I've got my cup of tea, and I hope you have too. And I've also got, if you see me drinking something, it's a St. Helier ginger beer. So it's one of these, and they're really, really nice. I've tried them before, and they're actually really, really nice. Oh, they're produced in Jersey. So St. Helier. Of course, St. Helier is in Jersey. They do some nice drinks. It does say reduced sugar, so I don't know if there's some of those e-numbers. But if you see me drinking out of my gin glass, it's because it was the first glass I grabbed. So I've got ginger beer, which is non-alcoholic ginger beer. So there's a few, when we go out and about, there are a few brands which are doing really, really well. In terms of gluten-free, and I'm sure you've seen Shah, and I'm sure you've seen Crimbles as well. And I saw some of these newish ones, or ones that I have not tried before, so I haven't tried any of these before. And I thought these look quite nice. Mrs. Crimbles does the gluten-free coconut macaroons or macarons. Well, no, they are macaroons, aren't they? And some of them have got chocolate on, but they're really, really, really lovely. They've been out for years and years and years, and I'm sure even before it was hitting the gluten-free market, they were there. And they just happen to be gluten-free. And these are another one. So these are 5 gluten-free sponge cakes with a raspberry filling. So let's have a look and see if there's eggs in them, so they're not for vegans. Oh, there's things like sodium citrate, elderberry juice in here. So what is there? Who knows? But what I'm going to do is see what they look like. So these are 5 in a pack. I can't remember the cost, but I popped into Asda's yesterday, and I thought these were really good because they're like lunchboxy ones, aren't they? So when you open them, just put that on there for you. These little cakes, so they do actually have that on them. So that's quite cute, isn't it? That they've got the, let's have a quick look. Can I make, this is what happens. Well, anyway, there's a picture on the front. Jammy lunchbox loaf cake. So let's have a quick taste. It's easy to open. Oh, almost like a little Madeleine type cake. So there we go. Really nice. I'm just going to get a little. Do you know what? Next week I'll have to transmit from the garden outside. And when things go back to normal from Belgium. So, oh, let's have a look. So, oops. So the picture there shows how much jam I'm expecting. And the picture here shows how much jam I've got. So not quite as much, but let's have a taste and see what they taste like, because it's the taste test, isn't it? So we're going to have a little bit from the outside. Do you know what? They actually taste okay. They really do taste okay. The sponge is not like a freshly baked soft sponge, but it tastes really good. And that's the one thing with Mrs. Crimble's, they tend to taste really nice. They taste buttery. You don't get the overall hit of sugar. So that's really good. And the jam inside is lovely. I think it's raspberry jam, I'm not too sure. But that's the first taste test. So something I also want to do, and I do apologise, is introduce you to my very, very good friend who is here in the background, Robert. Good morning, Robert. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Yes. So if there's any questions, just let me know, won't you? Have you ever tried Mrs. Crimble's things?
No. Oh, yes, I've had the macaroons. And I think I introduced you to the macaroons, didn't I?
You did. You did ages ago.
But I've not had anything else.
No, they don't have a very big range from what I can see, but they're actually okay. And if you want to put something in a lunchbox, that's really nice. It's not too big. As I say, it doesn't taste like a fresh, soft sponge, but it's very buttery. It's got a really nice taste. There's 5 of them in the pack, and there is a really nice little, it's a branded packaging rather than just a clear packaging thing. So that's really good. I'm probably about 7.5 to 8 out of 10 with that. So that's quite a good score, isn't it?
I've just found the website if you'd like to have a look. They do have more than.
Oh, yes, please. Let's have a quick look and see what else they have.
There we go. So they've got macaroons, rings, and cakes. They do a range of savoury. And then at the bottom, they have a list of their favourites. So they have chocolate brownies, macaroons we've talked about, chocolate rings. They do madeleines. They do cranberry macaroons.
Oh, yeah, they're like Madeleine. The ones with lots of chocolate on are lovely. Really, really nice.
Bakewell slices.
Oh.
They do madeleines with the chocolate filling. Oh, and they do gluten-free vegan chocolate macaroons.
Oh, so that would be egg-free.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that.
That's okay.
So,
Let's have a look at the savoury.
yeah, please. I didn't know they did anything savoury.
Crackers and cheese bites.
Oh, so I will have to try and get hold of them because I love crackers. There's very, very, very few crackers in gluten-free world that taste nice.
There we go. So you can order directly from them as well.
Sorry?
You can order directly from them as well.
Perfect. And there are some really, really good gluten-free companies. Mrs. Crimble's are good. There's another one called Isabel's, who do things like Yorkshire pudding mix. They do a lot of things. So check out Isabel's as well, because I know I've ordered quite a few things from there. They're pretty good. And it is good to order direct from them as well, and keep them going so they can keep packing those little boxes. So, what shall I try next? Wafers, Twix, Jaffa cakes, or the chocolate fingers? Twix. Okay, so this, I can remember how much these were. These were 2 for £1. So, and they're supposed to be like a little Twix bar. So they're quite expensive if you think that's £1, 50 pence, and that's on a special offer. So you get one of those in a pack. So let me have a look.
I'd say that's on a par with a king size Twix though, looking at the size of it, which is over £1.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's only one in this, but hey ho, it's not a fan. No, I'm not a fan of that one. I thought it was going to be like a Twix, but it's not. Actually, the biscuit is all around the outside, and then there's caramel in the middle. But the caramel doesn't taste. I'm not getting any butter. I'm just getting sugar from that. So that isn't one for me, is what I'll say. So it's just I can taste sugar and not that. But that's what sometimes happens. I may have a different taste, and I think I was expecting something different. So that's probably not one for me. But hey, just try it. Honestly, you may like them. And I think a couple of weeks ago we did quite a few different Shah ones, and there was the ones that looked like the Ferrero Rochers that worked out to be about a pound, 50 pence each, so 3 in a pack. But they were delicious, and the ones that were slightly cheaper, I didn't care for. So, Brigitte said the picture was probably taken with an ordinary, with an ordinary lens, so the thing nearest looks biggest. Yes, that's about those. So the jam wasn't quite as big as in reality, but they still tasted really nice. So they're ones that I would definitely have again. Right, okay. Do you know what? I'm going to leave the Jaffa cakes until last, because Jaffa cakes, it's really strange that there was, I think it was a Great British Bake Off when they said, oh, Jaffa cakes, when you make them from scratch, are actually gluten-free. There aren't gluten-free Jaffa cakes out there to buy, so you have to buy gluten-free ones, just in case. You never know what they actually use in terms of their on their production line. So I'm going to leave them until later. So shall we try wafers now? This is a wafer pocket, and this says, oh, so something that I do sometimes say is about palm oil, and the fact that Shah used palm oil, and it doesn't actually say what whether it's certified palm oil. But this says that there's no palm oil in it, and it's also wheat-free. So that's the little package at the front. Probably can't see it very well, but let me have a try. Do you know what I do love Saturday mornings? Because I get to try things that I've never tried before. But it also means that I have to go frantically around all supermarkets trying to find something new. So let's have a quick look at these. So this is actually quite a good pack. I'd say there's 2, 4, 6. I think there's 10 wafers in there, about that big. Again, I can't remember how much they are, but they've got like a chocolate filling. So I'm just going to get a little plate with all my remnants on it. If you like wafers, they're probably okay. They're a little bit sweet for my taste again. And I can't tell if it's the, let me just try. So it's not the wafer that's sweet. The wafer is actually really nice. I think it's the chocolate that's quite a sweet chocolate in the middle. But for wafers, you know, they're great. I don't think I was ever a great lover of the Pink Panther wafers. However, my husband absolutely loves them. So he might finish these off for me. But it's good to know that there are different types of biscuits out there for us. So far, Mrs. Crimble's is winning hands down. They're actually really, really, really good to taste. So let's have a quick look and see what else we've got. Oh, so that means that now I'm going to be going for the chocolate fingers. Do you like chocolate fingers, Robert? The Cadbury's ones. Do you?
I love the white chocolate ones, but then I love anything white chocolate.
I've never tried the white chocolate ones because I think they came out after I had to give up gluten. So I've just opened the packet. It's quite full. If you can imagine, it's been thrown around in my bag. But they look quite nice in there, don't they? Decent sized ones. So let's have a look. As there's no stamp on the front, I'm sure that there's going to be palm oil in these. Don't know, can't see it. This is wheat free, but it doesn't say palm oil free, so maybe there is some in there. But hey, we can check that. So I don't know how many are in here, but here they are. So nice chocolate cover. And you always want a nice crunch, don't you?
Yeah, a snap.
They're nice. They're really nice. And in the middle, the shortbready bit, the biscuity bit in the middle. You know how you like that little tiny salty taste when you're having like shortbread or a biscuit? It's got that. So I really, really, really like them.
Good.
They are lovely. I'm very impressed. I've just seen we've got some wet wipes in this spare room, so that's good, isn't it? I think I need them because I'm just taking chocolate today. But yeah, really, really, really love those. So I would definitely buy them. And I would imagine if you put them out for people, they would not know they were gluten-free at all.
No.
And that's the sort of taste test, isn't it? So yeah, again, sorry, my receipt is somewhere downstairs, but with all the internet problems, I don't know where I've moved them to. But when I looked at the shopping bill last night, when I came out of Asda's, because I got all of these from Asda's, shelves are really, really quite bare, is what I will say in some areas. There's a lot of the, Asda's used to do a really nice packet mixed pastry. There's very little of that. But what is back on the shelves is we have flour. And I saw it in Marks and Spencer's. They had plain flour and self-raising. And I saw exactly the same in Asda, that they had plain, self-raising and another flour up there. So we're starting to get our goods back on the shelves because we are still in lockdown. We're in week 16, 17 of lockdown. but things are starting to go back to normal. So there we go. So this is Jaffa cakes. Do you like Jaffa cakes, Robert? You are?
I'm not a lover of them.
Are you not?
That's because they've got dark chocolate on them.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, of course you don't like that, do you? Right.
Because they're orange as well, which is quite a citrusy bitter taste. I don't like the two things together. I have tried strawberry Jaffa cakes before and pineapple ones, and because that's a sweet with a bitter of the dark chocolate, they're okay.
I know before gluten, being gluten-free, I think there's a Polish brand that do raspberry and other types of do an apricot as well, and they were out of this world. Really, really good, but don't have them anymore because I can't read the ingredients either. So let's have a look. But here is a packet of Jaffa cakes. So they look like a Jaffa cake on both sides. So let's taste them and see what they taste like. The base is quite dense, and the orange isn't overly orangey. So,
Just on the internet a gluten-free Jaffa cake recipe, so maybe you should try making your own, and then that way you could make the orange as tangy as you wanted it.
Yeah, I just find that the base of that is just very dense, and the actual Jaffa cakes that we remember are really quite light, aren't they? And they're not fluffy, they're not soft, but they sort of melt in the mouth. Those don't. I mean, if you love Jaffa cakes, they're probably okay. If, like me, they were never your go-to, I'd always go for something else. So I probably wouldn't have them again. However, we all have different tastes. So as I said, that I just found the chocolate in the middle a little bit too dense. Sorry, sweet. Those were out of this world. Love, love, love those. The Jaffa cakes, I don't think they're my cup of tea. And that other little one, no, they're not. The chocolates weren't made. Do you know what I nearly bought, and I had to stop myself from buying them? You know, the other week, Robert, you bought me the Pringles equivalent, the sharp, and they were the
Crispies.
They were the plain, the salted one. I gave them to my husband later that night, and he loved them as well. And there's a barbecue one.
Yeah, I've just seen them on the Shah website.
I know, so I picked up the barbecue ones yesterday, and then I thought, no, I'll put them back. I'll get them for next week, and we'll do more of a savoury next week. But I thought this week it's really about what can we grab to take out with us, you know, when people come round, because they will do eventually, and you just want to put a few biscuits out. Which are the nicest biscuits that we can have? So we'll see. Oh, so yeah. 2 out of, is it 2 out of 4? 2 out of 4 is okay. Has anyone ever tried these?
I've tried the Tesco ones.
Have you? I bought them, and I'm really struggling. Do you know what? I am going to have a taste. These are the sort of things, even before I was gluten-free, I would never, 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 never buy them, because they always bake them all. So I'm going to have a go, and I really don't think I'll like them. But hopefully they won't be too bad. So I thought I'd try these, because I always avoid anything like this, like the plague. So there's 4 in a pack. They're not too small, because we tend to find that everything's really, really small in gluten-free land.
Try the Tesco's one on our January weekend when I brought them for you and the other gluten-free people.
I can't remember.
Okay, because other than the pastry being a bit more crumbly, I don't think there's any difference. I like them as much as I do other brands.
Right. So here goes. I'm not looking forward to this, I have to say. Actually, no. Do you know what I'm going to do?
Why don't you cut it in half?
That's what I was going to. That's what I stopped for, and I thought, let me cut it in half. I know this is hard because I'm upstairs, but we can have a look and see what it looks like inside. That's what it looks like inside. Quite a big piece of, what do you call it? Frangipani inside. Let's have a little bite.
She's not impressed.
Oh,
nope.
Just sugar. Even the jam, I couldn't really taste the jam. So that's not one at all for me. Oh dear. The one thing is the birds will be happy because they can have those. But that's just me. I don't think I have tried the other ones. But what I love about the Mrs. Crimbles is the jam is really, really, really tasty raspberry jam. And on this one, it just feels like colouring. I can't taste that jam coming through.
Yeah.
So it's just that, you know, if you have a very sweet tooth, and I, don't get me wrong, I love cakes, but if you like a sugar hit, you probably like these. But for me, that's not my cup of tea at all. Oh, but so as you do some really, really, really good stuff. I know I've tried some of your biscuits as well. I think it's your shortbreads that I really like. Haven't tried all of them, but the cherry bakewell tarts, I know that sugar is quite a cheap ingredient, which is why they load it with sugar. But do you know what? If you just add a little bit of salt when you're baking, it enhances the additional flavors. So it brings out the flavoring of the butter, of the vanilla, of everything else, rather than just tasting that sugar. So that's why it's really important when we're baking cakes or anything to put a little bit of sugar in it. If not, you don't taste those other ingredients. And I'm just going to check and see if I can read it and see if there's salt anywhere in this blinking thing. Do you know what? I've answered my own question. I've just looked. I'll show you the ingredients on this. Hang on, can you try and see this? Come on. Right, you can't see everything, but you can see here, this is all the ingredients. That's a hell of a lot of ingredients in these. Guess what the last ingredient is? Salt. So that's answered my own question. If there's such a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of salt in, you just can't pick up the flavors of the jam and everything else. So yeah, people worry about salt, but actually if you put a little bit of salt in, you don't need to load it with as much sugar, so you can take out a lot of sugar. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a tip for you. So just having a look at the comments. Yeah, we're very quiet today, aren't we? I think we've got a few people who don't like putting comments in the comment boxes, so don't worry about that. If you want to, please do. Tracy says the barbecue ones are lovely too. Thank you for letting me know. I would imagine that they are really, really flavoursome, because I know the gluten-free Shar Pringle equivalent, they had a lot of flavour on. They were really good. Tesco Finest triple chocolate cookies are good. Thank you. And also their white chocolate and cranberry cookies. That's great. Brigitta's, I've never liked them. They are far too sweet and stodgy. I know, Brigitta, I know that you don't like any like icing, etc. That was just too much for me. But now for something different. So what I've got now are some of my, oops, let me just get these out for us. There's are some of my scones. Just put that on as well. And a Marks and Spencer scone. So this one is £2 for two. Bit of a tip for you. Never eat straight out of the packet. I put that in the oven for all of 5 minutes, just at about 180, 190. And what you want to do is, I always feel the outside of the scones. If they feel really, really dry, what I'll do is just stick them under the tap for 2 seconds and then put them in the oven. These seemed a little bit fresher than sometimes, so I didn't put water on the outside, but I have warmed them up. It just tends to make them a little bit more moist inside. I've got a little bit of butter. I haven't brought jam and cream because I'm in the dressing room, so I didn't want to get clot of cream and everything stuck. Right, I'm just trying. Oh God, trying to cut through it. I only bought this yesterday. Have you tried these, Robert?
Scones?
Oh, are you not?
No. I don't like the aftertaste.
Can't even cut this thing. I think Marks are just about the only place that do like a gluten-free scone. I say scone, you say scone. So here it is with just a little bit of butter. I'm going to taste it. Not a fan. I think I tried them when they first came out. I wasn't a fan. It's really hard with scones. If anything, I think it would be best if companies froze them. So you bought them frozen and then put them in the oven. Because once you've baked a scone in gluten-free world, by the following day, they're starting to go really hard and the whole texture changes. And the skill is just dunk them under loads of water. And what that will do is it just helps to fluff up inside. The taste is okay with them, but they are a little bit tough. I think the top of it might be a little bit less tough than the bottom, but I'm just going to get one of these. Which one shall I go for? I'll go for that one. Because I'm running out of room on this little table. Well, actually, it's a hat box that I've got. So these are my scones. Gluten-free scones have to be so wet. I've got a recipe, and I know, Tracy, you asked for the recipes. I did one for VE Day, and that recipe was what you had in the store cupboard. So it was just using flour and a bit of yogurt and milk and butter, etc. But these are using flour and ground almonds. Now, at the time when we were in lockdown, most supermarkets were out of ground almonds, they were out of desiccated coconut. So I didn't want to put a recipe out there where you had to, where there were ingredients that you just couldn't get. So here are mine. They are freshly baked this morning, but they are so moist inside, and that's because of the ground almonds. So we use butter in them. We use flour. It's gluten-free, self-raising flour. There's also baking powder on top of that. There's ground almonds. You can put almond essence in it, or you can put in, I put vanilla bean paste, but the secret, and this is what I do, either buttermilk, or if you haven't got buttermilk in the cupboard, in your fridge, just use some double cream. So I use a whole carton of double cream and I put in milk. And if you want to make your cream into like buttermilk, you just put a tiny bit of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, and what it does is it starts to curdle your cream. And that's what you want to happen, because then they go thicker. But because it was, I could only put the lemon in for a little while this morning, not so it really curdled, because I was running around the internet. So let me have a little taste test of this one. Mm. I know it's mine, but it absolutely melts in the mouth. They're fresh, they're out of the oven today. If I want to eat them tomorrow, I will put them back in the oven after just putting them under the tap and getting a little bit of water on them. But you can just see the difference in, this is one of my scones. It's really like soft and spongy. And one of these, I can't, my finger will not even penetrate, or they're just so dense. The other skill as well with scones, what you have to do is work really, really quickly. So you make the scones, you there's additional baking powder in there, and it's just wet. It's the weirdest mixture ever. You'll think you've done something wrong. You throw a bit of flour on there, and to be honest, just work with your hands. If you're going to use a cutter, you have to swirl the cutter in some flour, so it's all on the inside of the cutter. You go through and practically throw it onto the baking tray, and then I leave them on the baking tray for about 10 minutes to hopefully rise, so that baking powder is still working. That's what you want to do. You want to get as much air in them as you can, but work quickly. Make sure you don't add too much extra flour, because they have to be really, really damp and wet and really soggy. And that's why they come out really, really nice and fluffy. So that's a little gluten-free scone. I am going to send the recipe out, so you will get the recipe. And I always put like a good pinch of salt in them, and I will also put in, I think I put in 2 tablespoons of sugar this morning. And you just throw some fruit in if you want. And the other one, I tell you what, another one that I love, you will hate this, Robert, but if you like ginger, crystallized ginger, cut it up into tiny little chunks, put it in, and then on top of your scone, put on some double cream and a little bit of honey, and that's a lovely, lovely scone recipe. So that's another one. What's that? Albert says, I do like a good scone, clotted cream and jam. It's all the sin points for a month, but hey ho. Yeah, and your home baked scones look great. Thank you. That they are not uniform, you can tell. You will make these scones and no 2 will look the same. They're all bubbly, but they are like a homemade scone. And what I found was, when I was looking at people's recipes, the recipes made them just too dense like that. So I just kept adding more and more milk, or more double cream, or more milk. And eventually you think that is just too sloppy, that's too gungy, it's not going to work. Just like with a lot of the recipes for pastry. And suddenly you think, do you know what, that does actually work. We've got something similar to a proper scone. So that's my things for today. So you don't like scones then, Robert?
I just find them quite, I just get left with an aftertaste, which I don't particularly like.
Yeah.
Does the consistency change if you add fruit or cheese?
With cheese it will. I haven't tried doing the cheese one, so I will have a go. If you add in fruit, no, you just afterwards, you just throw in a nice big handful of fruit. And I'll have a look and see what the recipes are. I never stick to recipes. That might sound strange, but you just throw the fruit in, and it will be absolutely fine. And just give it a little bit of a stir. But as soon as you put the wet ingredients in to the dry ingredients, that baking powder starts to work and it starts to aerate. So you've got to be so quick so you can still get those nice little bubbles in there. So just work quickly, throw in whatever fruit you want, and I will sample them with cheese in, because I've got a little bit of cheese left. So I'm going to actually make some cheese scones after goggles, and see what they're like. But they'll be good. I'm sure they'll be good. It's just how I think with the cheese, what you're best doing is using something like Parmesan cheese, because it's got the hit of cheese, but what it doesn't have is lots of oil. If you use, as all of us do, you know, we use the cheaper supermarket, bigger block cheeses, there is more oil in them, just the way how they're made. So if you put that type of cheese in something like a scone, that's going to ooze out. So
and that's why I wondered whether that would affect the consistency.
Yeah, that would, although it may actually help it. We never know in gluten-free world. So I'm going to have to try it with expensive cheese, and then, you know, a standard cheese that a lot of us use, because we don't buy expensive cheese all the time.
And then I wonder what would, if you was to make it with like a blue cheese or a Stilton, what that would then do.
I am about to go to scone heaven, I think. I'm going to have Oh, I love that idea. Just like crumbled little bits of blue cheese. So like you could get a whole pocket of blue cheese. Ooh, I think I am definitely going to have a go at that. Because the interesting thing as well in gluten-free world, they make scone rounds that looks like a bit of a cake, and it's just this mess. It's all collapsed, you know. It looks horrid, but fresh out of the oven, that's lovely. So we just have to get over what things look like. But I'm definitely going to try that blue cheese one. I'll try that at my mum's though, because I know Alan will hate the smell of blue cheese. Do you like blue cheese?
It depends what it's with.
All right.
Not a great lover of blue cheese, but if it's on something like a burger, I quite like it.
I love a Stilton and pear tarts. So it's amazing, really is. And actually, a lady who's normally watching the show, she may be watching on replay anyway today, because I know lots of people watch it later in the morning. I think they go out and do the shopping first thing, so 9 o'clock doesn't work, and then I get lots of emails later. But she said in Marks and Spencer's they do 2 little quiches in a box, and they're like I think like mini cheese quiche Lorraine's. And they are lovely. They are really, really good. The pastry is lovely and light. And I did try the large quiche Lorraine as well, like they do a normal size one that you can have selling. That's really good as well. So if you do, you can even do the crustless now, can't you? Quiches, but I think I need something with pear and blue cheese. Yeah, broccoli and Stilton's lovely as well. If you've got a little bit of leftover broccoli after dinner, not that you ever would have leftover broccoli, that Stilton, a little bit of onion, and then just stick in some eggs with a little bit of cream or a little bit of milk, salt and pepper, and that is all you need in a quiche. They are just so easy to make, and we never really make them at home. It's a bit odd, isn't it? But the Marks and Spencer one are really good. So
some suggestions of Stilton on mushrooms and a Stilton on mushroom tart.
Oh, I'm loving that. Do you know one of my favourite breakfasts when I've got time? I cut up a little shallot in some butter and fry that. And then I will add some garlic, some chopped garlic. And then I will add some onions, sorry, some mushrooms, sliced mushrooms. Then I will add a little bit of lemon juice, and then I will add double cream and lots of salt and pepper, and put that on top of some nice brown toast. And it is out of this world. So that's one of my favourite breakfasts. And sometimes I'll eat that for my dinner as well, for days, you know, day after day. So I don't buy mushrooms very often, because if not, that's all I eat for days and days and days. So I'm going to start having a look at some of the things that we've actually got out there, and try some different recipes. So yeah. So I'm just wondering if anyone's got any questions that you've got, any other questions? Although I am going to perfect a nice Stilton tart.
There's nothing in the chat yet.
Oh, can I just say, this stuff, the ginger hit is so pronounced. It's lovely. If you like ginger, I know you don't, Robert, but if you like ginger beer, that is probably the hottest ginger beer I've ever tried. It's lovely. So yeah. Okay then. Well, if that's it, this is, I don't know what episode this is, but we've tried some scones, so I will send out my recipe for scones. We've tried the Marks and Spencer scones. Do you know what? They're fine, but they're just a little bit dense for me. But absolutely loved these two. So if you can imagine the amount of money I spent yesterday, I bought those, I bought both of these, and it doesn't take much. So if you think I really like Jaffa cakes, and then you try them, then you think I don't like those, you probably won't try anything else in the Shah range. But Shah do some amazing things. So yeah, do try those and let me know what you think to them. No, that way around, isn't it? Oh, this is what happens when you're on camera.
That's fine.
There we go. Got it the right way around. We see the reverse of what you see. So those, and try my gluten-free scone recipe as well. There'll be 2 recipes coming out, one with normal store cupboard ingredients, and then one when you can get hold of ground almonds. So hopefully you can get hold of ground almonds now locally. And that's it. So it was lovely to join you again. And next week, I think I am going to be doing pizzas. So I have bought a packet from Marks's. It's a pizza base, gluten-free pizza base. And I've tried a couple of them before and they were yucky. And there's another pizza base that I sometimes use as well. That's a packet mix, and I'm going to try making my own too. So we will see.
If you can get hold of it, and I've just seen that Shah do a packet mix pizza base.
I haven't tried their packet base. I've tried the bases in the box, and I wasn't a fan of those. Is it a packet?
Yeah, they do both packet and a pre-made.
Right. So I will try the packet. The pre-made, I was not a fan of at all. It was a bit like cardboard. But I think a lot of those pizza bases, when you buy them when they've already been done, are a little bit cardboard. But I will try to get hold of that. Sorry.
I said it's.
What did you say, Robert?
Because the preservative that they have to put in them to make them last.
I know, but I will see, and I'm going to be up in Leeds this week, and it's a real shame because there's a restaurant in Leeds called Salvo's, and Salvo's have been doing gluten-free pizza bases now in their restaurant for years and years and years, and I actually believe it's Isabel's. I will double check for next week's show, but I believe it's Isabel's packet mix that they work together, and that's exactly the same as what they put in their restaurant in Salvo's. So I'll get hold of some of that pizza base as well, that packet mix, and we'll have a try. So with anything, there will be some form of chorizo or pepperoni on top. You've just got to check, but most of them are actually gluten-free. So we're quite okay with the chorizo environment, but let's see what I get for next week. Okay? Well, lovely to spend some time with you, Robert, and I will see you in a few minutes on the next show.
Take care, Angela.
Bye. You take care. Bye-bye. Lovely to see you again this week. See you next Saturday at 9 o'clock. Bye-bye.